Welcome back. I am here with Coach Alan Sharpe, the new head women's basketball coach at UAH. Coach, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So look, I'm just going to go right at it. So let's imagine all your girls are sitting back here. How would they describe you?
I would like to think that they would say serious.
Okay.
We're about our business.
Okay.
Especially when it's basketball time, when it's practice time, when it's film time. Very intentional with what we're doing. Now, when we leave, I'm pretty laid back.
Okay.
I would like to think I'm easy to talk to. They may disagree with that.
Okay.
But yeah, when it's basketball time, we're serious about what we're trying to get done.
Yeah, I love that. So this is your first year at UAH. Now tell us more about how you began coaching. Did you always want to be a coach?
Well, I grew up, my dad was a coach, small college basketball coach.
Okay.
So I grew up around the game. I grew up in a gym, on a bus with him as a little boy, going all over everywhere. I've always been, since I could walk, whether it was his teams or when I played or my teams, I've just always been part of a team. And, I just didn't really know anything different.
Yeah.
My mom and dad probably tried to talk me out of it because they know, sometimes in coaching, sometimes the highs are never as high as the lows are low.
Right.
So, but I stayed with it and played in college, and then when college was over, got in the coaching business. And just, it's one of those deals where it's just kind of what you do. It doesn't feel like a job. You're not punching the clock. It's just your life.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed it every step of the way.
That is awesome. Now, Coach, I did a little research. And so who is better, Lipscomb or Belmont? I'm a little...
Lipscomb,
well, look, I'm going to say Belmont.
Oh, watch out. Fighting words. Watch out. Yeah, that was always a big rivalry back in the day. It still is to this day.
I played at Belmont. So
did you really?
Yeah,
okay, yeah. When I went to Lipscomb, there was a year or two where we were still in the same league together. But then before I finished my years at Lipscomb, Belmont had gone Division I.
Right.
So I missed out on some of those games.
Okay.
But obviously now it's back and they still play every
Ballard
year.
Boulevard. It's good.
Big time.
It's
yeah.
good. It's good.
Yeah.
How was your college experience? How was that for you?
It was good. Playing for Coach Meyer at Lipscomb was quite an experience.
Yeah.
Great coach. He's in every Hall of Fame there is out there, and really learned a lot. A side note about that, which is a real neat little interest story. When Lipscomb won the national championship, the NAIA national championship in 1986, in the national championship game, they beat my dad's team.
Oh, wow.
Arkansas Monticello.
Oh, that's cool.
And I hated Lipscomb because they stole a national championship from my dad.
Right.
And then it's funny how things work out. 10 years later, I'm playing at Lipscomb for Coach Meyer, and it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. So when you graduated from Lipscomb, did you go straight into coaching?
I did. I got a graduate assistant spot at Piedmont College, which is in Georgia.
Yeah.
I did that 2 years, and then here we go. Had a stint at Wallace State early on. And had a run at Arkansas Monticello, where my dad was coaching previously. Then I was at West Alabama, and then went back to Wallace State, where I was most recently. And then this kind of just fell in our lap.
And those who don't know, go ahead and talk about your time at Wallace, because you won a lot at Wallace.
We had some good runs, had some good teams. My first stint at Wallace was, there was a time there, 07, 08, we were the #1 junior college team in the country, and had a couple of Huntsville kids on that team, and we were 32-0, and it was before they had at-large bids, so we were 32-0. We were the #1 team in the country, and you had to win your conference tournament to go to the national tournament. And we got upset in the championship game of the conference tournament, so we didn't get to go to the national tournament. But had some good times, good runs, good teams there at Wallace State, and it was of all the places I've been over 2 stints, that was probably the place I was the longest was at Wallace State.
Yeah.
Same president was always there, so she was always good to me and my family.
What have you seen the difference between, because have you coached men as well or only women in your coaching career?
Well, I this past year I did 1 year at Wallace State. I actually did both.
Oh, wow.
Which was quite a
Yeah.
experience. That, you never know how things work out. That was
Right.
not part of the plan.
That's unheard of to do both.
I know the coach at Wallace, the women's coach, left right before the season started. I was coaching the men, and the president came to me and said, "Hey, Coach Sharpe, what do you think about just taking over both this year?" And I was a little hesitant at first,
Yeah.
but I did it and I enjoyed it. Obviously it took some getting used to. You have a practice with a team and you finish it, you stack it up, and they leave, and then here comes the next team. I'm like, oh man. So I had to kind of condition myself to handle 2 practices, but
Wow.
I really did. It was good. I really did enjoy coaching the women there at
What's
Wallace.
the difference that you saw coaching men versus women?
Just initially, the speed and the athleticism, the
Makes sense.
intensity
Yeah.
was different. I had to get used to that because there was times where I thought, yeah, come on, girls, let's go. We got to pick it up. But
Yeah.
they're going. They were doing the best
Best
that they
they
could.
could.
So it took some adjusting from that point of view. But I think that I feel like those girls, the women's side, the coaching seems to be so much more important. It's very important schematically and scheme and what you're doing offensively and
Yeah.
defensively, because so often with guys, guys are different in some ways. Like some guy could just yo-yo with it and raise up and just drain a shot. And
Right.
there's not much you can do about it.
Right.
Or I can beat you because I can just out-recruit you. I can get better players.
Right.
And oftentimes that doesn't happen as much on the women's side. I feel like you need to be a little more organized. You need to be a little more structured.
Yeah.
A little more intentional about where you're going with the ball and who needs to
Yeah.
have it and things like
Yeah.
that. So I did. I really enjoyed it.
That says a lot about you, that you can balance the craziness of both.
Yeah, I've got 25 years under my belt, and one thing as you get older, you start to realize that you have to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adjust,
Yeah.
figure out what you have on your team and what the strengths are, and play to those strengths.
Yeah.
Don't be hard-headed and I got to do it my way. I got to do it this
Right.
way, and maybe that way's not best.
Yeah.
You got to kind of play to the strengths of your team.
That's true. And you mentioned your family. How was that with balancing with them and family and all the above?
It's good.
Yeah.
My wife also played at Lipscomb,
Oh,
so we're
wow.
just, basketball people.
Yeah.
And they've been really good along the way because as I mentioned, all the stops along the way,
Yeah.
they've been good teammates, and they just get on board and
How old are your kids?
pack up and move when we need to. My oldest is actually a redshirt freshman here at UAH
Oh, awesome.
on the men's
Okay.
team.
Okay.
Our daughter is a junior, and
Okay.
our youngest son is an 8th grader. And they
Oh.
all play basketball. Sometimes I wish they didn't because it creates a little extra stress on the
I
family.
can imagine. I can imagine.
But we've enjoyed it, and they've been really good along the way.
That's awesome. Who has taught your kids more of the game of basketball, you or your wife?
It's a combination of both.
Okay,
It
okay.
is. I probably do more with them on the floor,
Right, right.
working them out. She probably does a little bit more behind the scenes, encouraging, bringing them
yeah,
along.
yeah.
There's been a good balance there with both.
Yeah, okay. And then I have to ask, of course, who wins the one-on-one, you or your wife?
Oh, me definitely.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. She was. She loves to say like she was a pass first point guard.
Okay,
And she always
okay.
loved to say I was very selfish. She liked to shoot it all the time.
Yeah.
So we complement each other really
Yeah.
well like that.
That's awesome. Well, look, Coach, when you're not watching film or just on the court, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, priorities change as your kids get older,
Right.
and in recent years it's been always been about the kids. They've always been on teams and, like I said, working them out and in
Yeah.
the gym. So most of the free time is spent with the family.
Right.
Early on, I love to play golf, love to go fishing,
Yeah.
things like that. But as the kids get older, we kind of make it more about them, and rightfully so.
Right, right.
know.
And also, because I know Wallace is in Hansville. How do you say that? Hansville?
Hansful.
Now being in Huntsville, is there certain things that you've been enjoying being in Huntsville?
You know, we're still in the process
Oh,
of a
okay.
move.
Okay, okay.
So I'm kind of commuting
Okay,
back
back
and
and
forth,
forth.
different
Gotcha.
places. But you know, what a great city.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's a good spot. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more activity. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad.
Right?
You know, I spent 6 years at West Alabama in Livingston,
There's nothing.
which is, you know,
Yeah.
a one red light town. And there's good and bad to that.
Right.
But we've never really lived in a city this large before, so
Mhm.
it takes some getting used to the traffic
Yeah.
and where am I going and how to get places. But it's been good. We enjoy
That's
it.
awesome. And coach, if you could go back, you said you had over 25 years of experience of coaching. What would you tell your younger self? What would you do differently? Or would you keep the same
I tell you
things?
what, and I'm gonna be real candid here with this deal, and I always wish I would do more personally and relating to the kids better. And I did that to a certain extent, but there's always so much more room to even dig deeper with the young people that you're working with.
Yeah.
You know, when you get a job and you're early in your career, you just want to win, 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 win.
Right.
And,
Right.
and sometimes you miss out on the real reason that you're coaching,
Mm.
you know, and that's to make an impact on those young people and get them prepared for life. And
Right.
so if I had to do it over with, I'd have more individual meetings. I'd have more, you know, off the court time or casual time or eating in the caf with them.
Yeah.
And I did some of that, but boy, I wish I had done more of that along the way.
Yeah. Just like the building the relationships
Sure,
in different
sure.
ways.
You know, and you know this. The people love to talk about, and it's true. You know, the better relationship you have with them, the harder you can coach them.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
there's gonna be a lot more trust, mutual trust between the two parties, and I just, you know, and as I've gotten older, I do better with that, and I'm cognizant of that, and try to do a better job of, you know, just knowing them more so than a basketball player, knowing them as a person.
Yeah, yeah. And then what you've seen with that, let's talk about just the mental health, mental awareness with self-care. How have you seen that with yourself as a coach and also with players now in this time and age?
I know, and it's helped me by having kids of my own. You know, it's helped me realize that. Like I said, early in my career, it would be, come on, man, you got to just toughen up. Let's go,
Right.
toughen up. We got to,
Right.
come on, make the next play. But now that I have kids of my own, I see what they go through in school, and there's challenges and struggles along the way. And
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
think as adults
Yeah.
and coaches, you know, we need to make sure we're mindful of those things. And
Yeah.
these kids have a lot of other stuff going on other than basketball. And sometimes as a coach, I think that this team and this basketball program is your whole world, and it's really not.
Right.
They have schoolwork, and they have problems at home, and they have issues with relationships.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I have to do a good job of being mindful of, and you know, working towards having a good relationship with them
Yeah.
where we can have that good relationship where they can come to me and talk to me about things, and at the same time I can still coach them hard on the floor.
I love that. Now, Coach, before we go, you said what you would tell your younger self. Now, someone right now watching this show, what would you tell them who wants to coach, who's getting to their first year coaching? What advice would you give them?
Just know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a 9 to 5. You know, you don't punch the clock.
Yeah.
If you're really invested in it, it's 24 hours a day. You think about it. You think about it even after you leave here. You know, we had a practice yesterday, and the whole rest of the day I'm thinking about the practice and what do we need to do for the next practice, and
Right.
how can we get better at our help side defense. You know, it's
Right.
just something that you just carry with you every day. It's
Yeah.
not a job. It's just it's just who you are and what you think about all the time. So, you know, if you really want to be successful, know what you're getting into,
Yeah.
because it occupies your thoughts most of the day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Coach. Well, look, we'll be right back to hear about the upcoming season and the girls. Welcome back. We are here again with Coach Alan Sharpe, the head women's basketball coach here at UAH. So, Coach, tell us about the roster. Are we going to see the same players from last year, different? What are we looking like?
I got the job in April.
Okay.
And so there's 6 returners off of last year's team. And then we pieced together 9 others. So we have a roster of 15.
Okay. Wow.
We added, there was some high school kids that were previously signed, and then we added a few transfers to the roster. So I think we got a good mix. One thing I will say, even though everyone is is a new coach, so it's new to everyone.
Right.
We do have some age and some experience. We just need to spend more time together.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of kids that have a lot of college basketball under their belt, especially with some of the transfers that we signed. So, I feel like it's a good mix.
Okay. So are you 50-50 with underclassmen and upper? Are we heavy on freshmen and juniors?
There's actually only 2 real seniors on the roster.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, depending on how this thing goes this year, it could be really good, moving forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a good age with a good little mix of young talent that I think will be ready in time. Not ready yet, but we'll be ready in time. And just trying to put it all together. It's just so hard. You can get out there, you can recruit, and for the most part, you can get some pretty good players.
Right.
The hard part is getting them to mesh.
Yeah.
Getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Getting a rotation, chemistry. That's the hard part, and that's what we're trying to work out right now.
So tell us, because I've seen your system at Wallace. Are you bringing that same here to UAH, or is it how's your coaching philosophy?
Yeah, like I said earlier, as you get older, you learn to adapt.
Yeah.
And I will say that this roster, we have a presence in the front court.
Okay.
In the post, which is hard to come by.
Yeah.
Men's or women's, at any level.
Any level these days.
Just having some post play that you can actually throw the ball to, expect them to do something with it. Haley Nichols was here last year. She's a post player, and then Alexis Woods was at Samford last year, but was here previously in previous years. Both of those 2 are a presence in the paint. Now, their issue is they're old. They've had injuries and surgeries through the years. We're just trying to maintain, we're just trying to get to the games now with them.
Right.
We don't want to foul it up here before we ever play somebody. So if we can keep those 2 healthy and get to the games, I feel like we have the pieces in place.
Okay.
To have some success.
Yeah, so are we looking at a 5 out, 4 out, 1 in type offense?
Yeah, I mean, there'll definitely be 1 in. Okay. Maybe 2 in. Probably not as much 5 out, but with those 2, they're a priority, and we're going to make it an emphasis to get them the ball in good position down around the basket. And with that, that should free up, obviously, opportunities on the perimeter. Both those 2, they're good enough that they require a double team.
Wow.
Which is obviously hard to come by.
Yeah.
And so if you have a post player that's good enough to require being doubled, it's going to open up a lot of other things. A lot of other things on the perimeter. And I feel like we have good enough perimeter play, shooting that I feel like the pieces are in place.
So, Coach, tell us defensively, how are you looking? Man-to-man, zone?
Yeah, through the years, I've always been a half-court, man-to-man guy. The defensive end is something that has always been kind of a priority of mine. I think if you look at most coaches at any level, most of them tilt one way or the other with the offense or the defense. We've always kind of tilted towards the defensive end of the floor.
Okay.
There was years in the past, especially a couple of those years at West Alabama, we were #1 in the country in team defense. So that's something that we've always taken great pride in, being tough and help side D and keeping that ball in front of us, and post defense, even doubling the post. So that's the plan.
Okay.
But like I said, you know, you have to learn to
Oh
adapt. You
yeah,
have
you
to
gotta see how it
adjust.
is. Yeah.
Actually, this past year at Wallace State, we had a good year, but we were limited on talent. We ended up playing a ton of zone just because of our personnel.
Yeah.
So the plan is to be half court man,
Okay.
but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Impressing?
I haven't done much of that.
Okay.
I haven't. I've just always just kind of been a little more conservative with it, and
I like it.
you know,
Be
I just
intense
did.
in the half court.
You know, I just didn't want to do things that would create offense for them. Let's make them earn their buckets.
I like that.
Let's don't gamble too much. Let's don't stretch the defense out too much where we might create offense for them and they don't have to work for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've just always kind of bought into that method, and
I like
we're going
that.
to stay with it as long as it works.
Yeah. So tell us about the games, and when is the first game this season?
First game on the road is going to be November the 8th.
Okay.
We go down to Florida. You know, the last few years they've always played in what they call a crossover challenge with the Sunshine State Conference, which is the Division II league down there.
Right.
So this year it's at Florida Southern,
Okay.
and we'll play Florida Southern and Rawlins,
Okay.
which are both out of Florida. We'll play them November the 8th and November the 9th. We do have an exhibition game October the 29th with Jacksonville
Okay.
State
Okay.
at JSU. So we'll get a good gauge. We got a couple more weeks here of practice,
Right before that.
and then we'll get
Okay.
a good gauge on where we stand. I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll be bigger and more athletic, and hopefully it'll expose some things
Yeah, yeah.
that we need to address
Yeah.
before we get into the real games, the ones that really count.
Right. And I know as a coach you look forward to every game, but is there any games on the schedule that you're really excited?
You know, one that's going really it would be good for the community here is it's a unique deal where Alabama A&M is going to come here.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
November 21st, I think. I know it's a Friday, and
They haven't come here in a while.
I know, and it's kind
Yeah.
of I kind of walked into this deal. It was an agreement that was already in place before I got the job. I think UAH went to A&M this past year, and the agreement was they would return it this year.
Wow.
And you know, that's just rare that you can get a Division I team
Yeah.
to travel to a Division II team.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully that'll be a good crowd and
Yeah, it's awesome.
good little buzz in the community about
Yeah.
UAH playing A&M.
And then what about conference play? Who's a team that you're excited about playing, or was it tough last year?
You know, in recent years, it's always been Union, Lee, Valdosta,
Yeah.
and the word on the street is they're going to be really good again.
Okay.
So those will be quite a challenge. The preseason rankings should be coming out soon.
Okay.
I'm sure those three will be at the top.
Okay.
I hope we're at the bottom.
Yeah,
hope we're at
the
bottom.
underdog.
Give us a little motivation.
Yeah.
But I'm sure those three will be really strong. And West Florida is always really
Mm-hmm.
good. So, the old saying in the coaching business, the toughest league in the country is the one you play in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the SEC because we don't have to beat Alabama.
Right. You don't have to worry about them.
So,
yeah.
toughest league is the one you play in, and I'm sure it'll be tough again this year.
Yeah. So tell us what do you need from the community? How can the community support you guys?
Yeah, you just being here.
Yeah.
Being in the stands, for the last 10 or 15 years, the men's program has been really, really good.
Yeah.
And has had a tremendous amount of community support. And a lot of that is because of Lenny Acuff, who was here.
Right.
But more importantly, they won. They won games.
Yeah.
And people want to pull for a winner. People want to be in the stands to see you win games. So hopefully us having some success
Yeah.
will breed that, and more people have an interest and
Yeah.
get involved, and we'll have more fans in here for that women's game.
Yeah.
You don't want that women's game to be empty, and
Right.
then your men's game shows up, and then the place is packed.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, you want that thing to be, have our fair share of fans to support our girls.
And your conference, remind me, do you guys still have double headers?
We do.
Okay.
We do. We
Okay.
do. So we want to build on that. I can remember, talking back to our Lipscomb days, I can remember when Lipscomb and Union were both NAIA.
Right. That's true.
And I'll never forget this. I was playing at Lipscomb, and we were there for the doubleheader. The place is packed watching
Yeah.
the women play.
Yeah.
And we go back to get ready to change. Game's ready to start. We run out, and the place is empty. But they had a tremendous amount of support for that women's program there at Union, and they still do. But boy, we'd love to be able to build, and to hopefully we could have crowds like that moving forward.
How is the student involvement? Like, what are you guys doing to involve the students to?
Yeah, I know. I think that's something that we need to work on. It's something that, I have a really good staff with Mary Elizabeth and Kyle. They do a good job here on campus, and just trying to get the Greek groups to be here. Our athletic director and president are really good about, and even our communications department, they're good about having little fun little fan interest things that would hopefully bring some more people out. But at the end of the day, we need to win. We need to win to keep them. We can get them here, but we need to win to keep them here.
And so believing that these people were going to come and support, what can we expect to see in these girls play?
Well, at the end of the day, I just hope that.
I know you're still figuring that out too.
I know,
so that's a tough
but
question.
I hope that the fans feel like, boy, they get after it. They play hard, and they're into it. Not just the ones that are on the floor, but our bench is into it. The coaching staff is into it. We're good teammates. We pull for each other. We have an appreciation for the fans that are here. Things that would make the fans feel good about supporting your program. So we'll build on those things, and it takes time. But anytime there's a coaching change, there's a little new sense of urgency. There's a new little sense of enthusiasm. And I just hope that we get off to a good start. We have some success, and hopefully it'll build on it.
I know. I look forward to coming to some games. I know there's people watching. Look forward to coming and seeing the girls play. Now, Coach, remind us again one more time. So you have the exhibition game October 29th. Is that what you said?
October 29th.
At Jacksonville.
At Jacksonville State. Open up November the 8th. And then that next home game is somewhere around in there that next week.
Okay. And Alabama A&M comes here November
21st.
21st. 21st. And if persons want to go ahead and purchase tickets, where do they go?
Would just go to our website. Go to our website.
Okay.
Our website, they do a really good job on keeping people up to date. I know we have a big deal with our season ticket holders where they can purchase tickets, but also there's always been a good deal in recent years about free admission. Just for the general admission. So that's always appealing, that you don't have to pay.
If you go up top,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Well, look, Coach, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure officially meeting you, too. I still think Belmont is a little bit better than Lipscomb.
Okay. I won't hold that against you.
Thank you. And if you want to purchase some tickets, like Coach said, you can scan that QR code that you see, and it'll take you right to UAH website so you can purchase some tickets and support the UAH women's basketball team. Join us next time to see who's off the clock.